As we all know, the company released its second quarterly earnings, seeing strong revenue and profit beat. The automaker also upped its profit forecast for the second time this year. Yahoo Finance's Pras Subramanian, who has been listening into the conference call to give us some more details here.
Yeah, you just said it there. Revenue up 25% there year over year, $44.7 billion, $1.91 adjusted EPS. GM upping that profit guidance for the second time this year, talking about how extracting costs and sort of higher MSRPs helping to boost that bottom line. Here is Mary Barra talking about that just earlier today.
We have now delivered 4 consecutive quarters of higher retail market share in the U.S., and our total share was up almost 1 full point in the first half, with strong pricing and incentive discipline. We lead the U.S. industry in both commercial and total fleet deliveries calendar year to date. We now have led the U.S. industry in initial quality for the second year in a row. We are focused on strong cost discipline, and we are taking additional steps to lower our capital spending. All of this impacts the bottom line, so we are raising our full-year earnings, free cash flow, and EPS guidance for the second time this year.
So they're finding a lot of that cost extraction through these layoffs they had announced before that they call the sort of voluntary buyouts. And then also stuff like marketing costs, travel costs, things like that.
And what's the vibe, Pras, around electric vehicles? Because we heard GM this morning call out they're going to make 100,000 EVs potentially in the second half of this year, bolt on to the 50,000 they made in the first half. 150,000 for a company that was struggling to get these to market. It's not too shabby.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a hiccup there because they talked about how they hit 50,000 EVs this year, first half, 100,000 next for the second half of the year, and then eventually 400,000 by the end of 2024. But I think there's some concern about the battery modules and getting those up to speed. Mary Barra addressed that, and she said it was kind of disappointing to see that ramp up.
We've also added additional lines because we don't want module production to gate our launch of all the products that we have coming in the second half of this year and continuing into next. And we know we're going to need that module assembly capability anyway as we continue to grow beyond the 400,000. So disappointing. I've personally been reviewing the lines. As you know, I've spent time in ME earlier in my career running it. So we'll get this behind us. I'm very confident of the teams we have in place. You'll see it improve as we get through, I would say, into the end of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, and then I think it will primarily be behind us by the end of the year.
So some bad news, but good news. The Chevy Bolt's coming back. They announced that.
Is that good news?
I mean, it is their by far and away top-selling EV, right? So it's going to come back as a next-gen model using the Ultium platform. So that's going to be there. And I think all eyes are on them to execute for the next back half of the year with the Silverado, the Blazer, and then also the Equinox coming out too.